What is up, 5-1? Today's devotional is looking at Daniel chapter 3, and so we're kicking off with a very famous story. This is the story of the golden statue and the fiery furnace. And so what's happening in this chapter, Nebuchadnezzar is king of Babylon, and his wise men, his counselors, come to him and they say, King, you should build this statue, and this massive 90-foot statue, and you should make a decree or a law that anytime people hear music being played, they have to bow down and worship this statue in honor of you. And so Nebuchadnezzar, being a pagan king, is like, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So Nebuchadnezzar makes this order, but what happens is a lot of these wise men and these chief officials, they didn't like the Jewish wise men, because Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego received a lot of favor from King Nebuchadnezzar. God had blessed them, so in everything they did, Nebuchadnezzar looked at them favorably, and the other wise men not as much. And so King Nebuchadnezzar makes this decree: everyone who hears the music must go and bow down to this idol and worship it. And what happens is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego don't listen. Daniel's absent from this story, and we're not really sure why, but these three individuals, when they hear the music, they refuse to bow down because it would be the same as worshiping an idol. And so they have one God, Yahweh, and so they refuse to bow down. So what happens is the other wise men and chief officials come to the king and say, King, didn't you make this command that anyone who heard the music must bow down to your statue? And the King Nebuchadnezzar's like, yeah, absolutely. Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego aren't listening. And so Nebuchadnezzar brings them before him. He kind of asks them, did you not understand? Like, I'm going to give you one more chance. If you didn't understand, just say so. And when you hear the music in a minute, bow down. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego look at King Nebuchadnezzar. Hananiah, Azariah, Mishael look at Nebuchadnezzar. And they tell him, King, we aren't going to do this. We don't have a defense. We haven't done what you asked, but we're not going to. And the consequence was anyone who didn't bow down would be thrown into this fiery furnace and killed. And so the three individuals look at King Nebuchadnezzar and say, if you throw us in this furnace, our God is able to save us. But even if he doesn't, we still will not bow down to this statue. And this passage right there, that phrase that they say, is absolutely beautiful. We'll get to that in just a moment. And so what happens is King Nebuchadnezzar gets enraged about this because they're not listening. So he orders that the furnace get heated even hotter. Scripture says 7 times hotter than usual. And he has Azariah, Hananiah, Mishael, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego bound and led to this furnace and thrown in. And the heat is so intense that the guards leading them actually are killed by the flames before they get there. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fall into the furnace, and Nebuchadnezzar's watching, and he calls his wise men over and says, wait, didn't we throw 3 men into that furnace? And they're like, yeah. He goes, well, I see 4 men in there. They're walking around like they're not hurt, and one of the men looks like a son of the gods. And so he orders Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to come out, and when they come out, they're not scratched, they're not harmed, they're not burnt, they don't even smell like smoke, Scripture says. And Nebuchadnezzar realizes that their God is real and has saved them, and he basically makes this new law saying that people have to honor the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so this passage is beautiful because we see Nebuchadnezzar is coming to faith in God through what's going on. But what we really see in this passage here, applying to us, is that anytime we believe in God, anytime we have faith, it will be tested. Faith is always tested. There's no example in Scripture, in real life, nobody I know believes in God and goes through their whole life without ever facing some kind of tension with their faith, without encountering somebody who doesn't approve of their faith, who doesn't like their faith, without getting into a disagreement about their faith. But it's those moments when our faith is tested when really beautiful things start to happen. See, God promises to be with us constantly, and in this fire we see that God had sent an angel that was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. God didn't have to save them from the fire, though, and they acknowledge that. Even if our God doesn't save us, we still will not bow down to this statue. They were that committed to their faith in God. And so for us, my encouragement and my hope is that as we go through this week, guys, if you believe in Jesus and you see things around you that test your faith, whether your belief itself or whether people test your faith, that you would hold steadfastly to that faith, because you never know. You might be talking to another King Nebuchadnezzar who's about to come to faith based on your commitment to Jesus. I love you guys. I'm excited for what's going on. I'm excited to get to meet with you again this week. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment down below, message us on Instagram, and we'll get back to you guys really soon. Love y'all. Take care.